There is an issue in this country that has become rampant. We cannot close a year without a demonstration, a brawl or disagreement or a clash that involves the word intern doctors. Who are these people? What do they do? We have interns and internship in every profession, but what is so special with these ones that they are always somewhere complaining about something, and what is that they normally complain about? On Monday we had a clash of them with the police. Was it on Monday? But this week they clashed with the police somewhere still when they wanted to petition Parliament over a number of issues. So who are medical interns? What do they do in our medical system? What do they expect of us that they always complain about? You get? I managed to talk to the spokesperson of the Ministry of Health, and he gave us the side of the ministry about what their complaints are. So we are going to hear from one of them, those people that are at the forefront of trying to see that probably they have their voice heard, to get to understand something to do with whom they are and what they want. His name is Dr. Mark Logiel, and he's here with us. Doctor, you're welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Lukoma.
Yes.
Privileged being in this show today.
The word intern doctors has not been new to anyone's ears in this country. Who are intern doctors?
You're right. The word
we have heard the
interns,
word, but
the
tell
interns.
Us, who are the, for us, when we go there, when we are sick, actually, we don't even pay attention to who is who in terms of class. Among you people that move around to treat us, let us know, who are intern doctors?
Yes, intern doctors are junior doctors who have finished their training in bachelor's degree in medicine and surgery. They have qualified, finished the training.
Yes.
And we call them now medical interns in a perspective that they are now undergoing a 12-month mandatory supervised training in medical, in institutions like hospitals. So these are the people we call medical interns. They're the ones who have just finished medical school. They are now in a transitional zone to be given a licensure to practice without supervision.
Okay.
Yes.
So to become the real practicing doctors, there is that stage that you go through just like the rest of us in our professions.
Exactly.
So what do they do in this 12 supervised training, months of training?
They do all clinical work. And when we say they are supervised, they are not being told to do this. They do the work just like any other qualified doctor, but under the supervision of a consultant or a specialist. They run a variety of clinical services, from clerking of patients in outpatient departments, in wards, everywhere within the hospital setting. They handle those services, including surgical services. So they are doctors that are just waiting to be released out to practice.
For deployment.
For deployment, yes. Okay.
Now, what is your specialization personally?
Personally, I'm not yet specialized. I am just a medical graduate who has just finished medical training from university, waiting to go through that transition zone of internship to be then licensed to go out there to practice.
Okay.
After this, I am actually a medical officer. After getting the license, I go out to practice as a medical officer. After that, I can go further to specialize in any of the medical fields, maybe pediatrics, internal medicine, surgery, obs and gyn. Okay. And those who have gone to specialize,
that you choose after internship?
After internship, after even you've gotten employed, at any comfortable time when you would wish to go and upgrade.
Okay.
Those are the ones we call senior housing officers.
Okay.
Or they are undergoing a training to get a master's degree in one of the specialties.
We cannot take a year without a clash, without complaints, without news of complaints from medical interns. What is always the problem with them?
The problem is...
Let me start with the general picture. What always goes wrong with the word or with people that are known as medical interns?
What always goes wrong is that we seem not to be in the plan of Ministry of Health to be deployed. The program of medical interns is always talked about when they complain. The idea, to me, has been that the numbers are many. But is it true in this country to say that doctors have become many? The numbers have actually become, in quotes, many, because of the university's response to a call from Ugandans, from WHO, that we must increase the patient-doctors ratio. In Uganda, we were...
You see, that is the current complaint, and I'll come to it.
Okay.
I want you to give me a number of issues that normally cause problems.
Oh.
Because you are an intern of this year. But last year we had a story, the other year we had a story. Every year something comes up about medical interns complaining about something or some things.
Surely.
What normally are these problems?
The most common problem has been delayed deployments, lack of allowances, delayed payments of allowances, allowance discrepancies among the cadres that form medical interns. I had not told you, Mr. Lukoma, that medical interns are not only doctors. Medical interns also constitute nurses, bachelor nurses and midwives who have finished, and pharmacists. They are also part of this 12-month supervised training. So we have had issues surrounding our welfare. In terms of our payment, has never been timely. It's being paid quarterly and not even full payments, and some of our colleagues even get less of what the presidential directive was. Okay. And therefore this has been always the root cause of most of the problems we have had. And it seems even worse this time that they say there is no allowance for us at all, meaning even to some extent deployment may be delayed for a very long period of time. And this is what incited our coming into the streets on Tuesday.
Okay. Now, how much should a medical intern earn in terms of allowances?
A medical intern, doctor, is supposed to earn 2.5 million. That is half.
Intern.
Yes, that's half of what our senior is a medical officer. Half of what a medical officer earns is what we are supposed to get, 2.5, and the same for a pharmacist. Supposed to get 2.5 because a pharmacist who is employed by government earns 5 million. A nurse, midwives, these are graduate nurses and midwives, they're supposed to get 2.5, 2.3, 2.2 million shillings. But as we speak, pharmacists get 2 million, nurses get 1.5. Doctors were a bit lucky. Doctors and
like
dental surgeons get 2.5. But you see, even when we say they get 2.5, it's just by what? Sometimes they don't get, sometimes they take 6 months without getting this pay. Yet they are doing work 24/7 in the hospitals.
Okay.
And this is a problem because we can't eat ourselves. We can't. We have responsibilities. Some of us have families. Some of us have already been released by our families that we are now doctors. They expect us to give back. They expect us to take responsibilities of educating our siblings. So we have no excuse to say that, no, I am serving a free deployment, or they have not paid me for almost half of the training that I am undergoing. So these are the most problems that have always resulted in us having friction with the government or ministry all along, and seems it is being neglected, because if you see the statistics, there have been over more than 6 times every year the same things are being talked about. Whenever there is transition of bringing in a new cohort of interns, the same problems come in, and we do not enjoy that.
Let me ask, particularly this particular time that you were on the streets and you had running battles with the police.
Yes.
What had gone wrong?
So many things had gone wrong.
Tell us.
We had taken long, first of all, to be deployed. In March, the last week of March, the Director General of Health Services, Dr. Henry, wrote a letter to our respective professional bodies for doctors, Uganda Medical Dental Practitioners Council, Uganda Nurses Midwives Council, and the Council for Pharmacists, that the prospective interns should be allowed to register to their respective bodies to get provisional licenses. These are licenses that allow us to be in internship for 12 months, that we are allowed to touch the patients, we are allowed to work on the patient.
Yes.
So this process was given 3 days for us doctors. We had to move from very far parts of this country, like for me from Karamoja, to make sure that I beat the deadline and get that provisional practicing license, because that is the root cause of making a list of deployment.
Yes.
When we were done with that, we got issued with our provisional licenses. We are actually having a mandate to practice as of now. We were told that on 3rd of April, we shall be starting our internship. Deployment would have even taken place before that. And
on
by
the 3rd of April.
And by 3rd, we should be at our working stations. On 31st, just 3 days to 3rd, we got another communication which was directed to the directors of regional referrals, national referral hospitals, and all other internship sites, including the PNFPs, communicating to them that there is a delay in commencement of a medical internship program for this year. And the delay is because there are some consultations that are going on, and we have to wait for about 2 weeks.
Good.
We didn't react at that time. We said 2 weeks is not bad. If the consultations are for our good, let's wait. 5 days after, we are again getting another communication from the Minister of Health, that there is no money for paying interns for this year. That was a big blow for us, because I'm telling you that I've been home for 1 year. I can't work. I can't apply anywhere. The only way to open our ways out to look for jobs is to finish up through this training. What next would we do? We came out not to fight Ministry of Health. We came out to help Ministry of Health to communicate to Parliament of Uganda the need to deploy us, the need to pass a supplementary budget to ensure that our allowances are met.
Okay. Now, I want first to ask you, you said at the beginning that it's like you are not in the plan of the ministry.
Yes.
Then you're telling me how they communicated to give you, did you call it a license?
Yes, practicing licenses.
Practicing
from
licenses,
our
and you
bodies.
got.
Yes.
They told you to come and get them, you got them. They told you, the minister, the Dr. Mwebesa communicated to your bodies about how they're going to involve you in other engagements. Then the minister is communicating. When you say you are not in their plan, yet they are talking to you, are you honest?
Surely, maybe you got it wrong. We were not involved. These communications are letters to directors of regional referral hospitals.
Yes, but for your cause.
Yes, they are for our cause.
Exactly. So they know about you, but how do you look at the structures and how they have to operate to handle your issue?
Yes, we see the structures that they are operating in as structures that have not made us a priority. Why? Because we cannot be home waiting for a program that the Ministry of Health seems to be aware of and starts talking of things that make us to start the program that they are lacking at a time when we are supposed to start.
What is the program that they are lacking?
The funds, and they are saying the funds are not there. The allowances will not be there. Then how do we say that they are doing it for our good? If they have been having us in the plan, this would have been put in place right earlier than the time we are supposed to be put in the program. And therefore, we feel there is a gap in the planning process in the Ministry of Health.
You see,
and this is why we are raising our voices.
You are talking of 30th March.
Yes.
Today is the 13th?
13th of April.
Exactly.
Yes.
How many weeks are those?
Those are 2 weeks.
Exactly. Aren't you people too fast to make judgments?
We are not really that too fast to make judgments.
No, we are talking about 2 weeks.
Yes, we are talking about 2 weeks.
And actually, the information I have,
yes,
the information I have from the spokesperson of the Ministry of Health is that you were told to be patient, not that there are no funds. Actually, he says you were told that they are making consultations with the Ministry of Finance and other stakeholder ministries and agencies of government to see how they get the funds to handle your situation. 2 weeks, you are on the streets.
Yes, I think that is not right. It's not true that we were told anything. I have to tell you that one of the complaints of medical interns outside there is that we have never been involved in any planning process. We are just we pick information from as rumors. We don't have any communication that ministry has made to us. Not at all. I would have known that. They have not responded to letters that we have written to ministry.
Do they have to talk to you? Do they have to respond to you?
Yes,
is it structurally like that?
I think so.
Because you are still interns. You are not yet hired by government officially. Yes, they have to meet some standards like paying your allowances, taking good care of you, things like that. But formally in the structure, do they have to communicate to you, or there are structures that they have to communicate to in order to trickle the information down to you?
We do not have a structure that links us with the Ministry of Health. We usually have to be communicated to directly, because the outgoing cohort of medical interns who are now doctors outside there looking for jobs leave a gap that we have to cover and start an interaction with the Ministry of Health directly as representatives of the next cohort of medical interns. And this is the group of people, of interns, that have never been involved or even communicated about issues to do with our deployment, issues to do with our next allowances. We only get it that the minister is saying this, we don't have money, we have to keep waiting. And we don't have a formal communication to us who are the real owners of the program, so that we know and own the response of our ministry to us.
So how do you get, from what platform do you get this information? For example, come for your licenses, come for this, we are now going to do this. Where do you get that kind of information?
We get this information usually from the outgoing FUMI leadership. And in the last period when they were finishing, we got a big gap that they didn't stand for us anywhere.
Who didn't stand for you?
The leadership of FUMI, that is the Federation of Uganda Medical Association, that was running the management of interns of the previous cohort. So there's the very ones who should transition us in terms even of communication and in terms of leadership to our own deployment. In the last 2 weeks that we are talking about, we have tried to engage the leadership of FUMI. They never, ever connected us to give us the absolute information, the position of ministry. So we have been acting, trying to lead our court as ourselves, because no one else would advocate for us unless we do them. We take the mantle ourselves.
How would you want the ministry to handle your issues?
Yes,
like structurally.
Structurally, we would want Ministry of Health to involve the interns in the management or communication that pertains interns.
But I think they do, because if you manage to, since 30th March up to now, they have communicated to you, referring to what you have just shared here. They have communicated to you severally with response from you and to them.
Yes.
Now, are you cognizant of the structure of how government operates?
Yes, we are cognizant on how the government
because it's not
operates.
Yes, because the challenge of saying currently we don't have funds, I don't think it affects only you intern doctors.
Yes, we know that.
It is said to the teachers,
we acknowledge
say
that.
to the soldiers, and everybody that serves expects money from government. Some roads are even halted, roadworks are halted.
That is true, Lukoma.
Exactly. So do you people consider the steps government has to take to get money to provide for anyone?
We do. We do acknowledge, actually, very clearly, that we have had as a country difficult moments, post-COVID, and so many other situations that have resulted in budget cut downs and so many other things.
Thank you.
We acknowledge that and we understand it. But for how long are we going to keep waiting for communications of Ministry of Health that have not purposefully shown that interns, this is our stand for now, give us time to work on your issues? Because I cannot hone information that I just pick from regional referrals, that for you people you're not receiving interns this time. This is the information I'm telling you that we are getting. It was not meant to us. It was not meant for us. It was not directed to us. And that is what you're picking, like Ministry of Health is communicating to us. The information about the councils, call the prospective interns, that is the only communication that was ours. But the communication of there is no funds, the communication of we are not deploying interns for the next two weeks because we are making consultations, those informations were not directed to us medical interns. And it is where we have felt that we need to be involved in the passing of information, because if we miss, if there is a gap in the information sharing, we are going to misinterpret what is going on. Even as much as I say that we understand budget cut downs, we also have a gap that we have been covering. If you go to many hospitals,
yes,
you may not understand. As we speak of statistics, that some hospitals have staffing levels at 30%, at 40%. Have you ever wondered who covers? But they keep on working. Who covers this gap? We interns actually are the ones who cover.
Because you need it as well for your training.
Yes, I don't know why we think that this is a problem to do with me as a medical intern. It is not purposely for my benefit. It is actually
don't you need the training?
It is a service. I said that medical internship
is part of your journey.
It's part of the journey, yes.
Good.
But medical internship is a work that I do as an intern under the eye of a senior.
You are blaming the ministry, like I said, for not communicating to you right. How do you demand for this communication as interns, as people under the ministry that is going to watch you for life? Because if you're going to be a medical doctor in Uganda, this is going to be your home
surely
throughout. How do you handle the ministry? How do you engage them, you yourself on your part?
Yes, over this period that we have had issues, we have had protocols.
Because I'm looking at coming to the streets on having a communication on the 30th, and by today's, by 12, you are on the streets.
Yes.
What do you make of it?
We were only not in the streets. We had already made our communication to ministry. We had written to Ministry of Health. A letter was already sent there. It's not that we started this walk for interns' welfare in the streets. We had already written a letter addressed to the Minister of Health, and also copied it to the National Internship Committee chair, and also the Director of Health Services in Ministry of Health, and some other stakeholders.
Okay.
So the communication was made to them. And then the next thing we also wanted to do, and as you say, Ministry of Health is our family, we are not fighting it. We actually want...
Are you sure that's what we see, those of us on the side?
Yes, you see that we are fighting Ministry of Health. But if you see what Minister Dr. Sheng said, she's actually partly on our side. But we may also not be happy to some extent with her, because we cannot be planned for in the rush hours of the program. And that's maybe why we are not happy with her. But technically,
what did she say that you are not happy with as interns?
Coming out 2 days to our deployment, that there is no money for you interns of this year is something that computes to poor planning. Because that information should have...
Why do you blame her for that? Because she sits in cabinet.
Yes.
She can call the Minister for Finance in a minute.
Okay.
You get? She does not call or give orders to her or to do with how budget processes are done.
Sure.
You know that government is now in the budgeting process for the 2023-24 financial year. So if that's the information she has,
yes,
why do you get annoyed with her?
We get annoyed with her because issues of medical interns has been persistent every year. Do you agree that you cannot allow a child you have invested for the last 5 years? And by the way, you're talking with medical interns who have done medicine now for about 7 years or 8, because COVID gave us and took our 18 months, almost 2 years.
Yes.
And now again, we have been down the road waiting for another 1 year. 3 years plus the 5 years and a half of training. That's 8 years. Who is that child that you are patient of stay home waiting for this long period uncertainties of when the deployment will take place? So we feel we have been so patient, and therefore coming out to give us, not to give us specificities of what is going on, like there is no money, yes, but we are doing our best to ensure that we recruit you. Instead, what we are getting is that we want to cut your numbers. We want to take a certain portion. And this is something that is worrying.
So what did you want her to say? What
we
did you
wanted
want to
that
hear what
information.
was good for your ears or the truth?
Not really. We wanted her to say these things or do these things as early as the last quarter, when our senior interns who were there last year were finalizing. Because that should have been brought the picture of the transition about us in play.
Okay.
Yes, that is actually what we were a bit bitter of.
So you chose to go to Parliament?
We chose to write a letter to Minister of Health. We chose to... Our going to Parliament was to supplement the cry of our minister that there are no funds. And we thought that Parliament would be the helpful arm in our cry.
It brings me back to something.
Asking it to pass a supplementary budget to enhance our allowances. Going to the streets, it was not our initial plan.
I'll come to that.
Okay.
I'll take you back to something we hinted on.
Okay.
How come you interns, part of the Ministry of Health, people that expect a lot from them, actually they are your parents now, you expect from them.
Yes.
How do you fail to handle them in a way that persuades them to take your issues seriously? You seem to be too demanding and very, very kind of aggressive to this ministry and the leaders in there, who would be your parents actually.
We respect our seniors. They are our parents. They are our seniors in the profession.
Yes.
And we really appeal that they shouldn't misinterpret this, because even them, they have undergone the same problem. And they will testify to you that even during their time of internship, the same issues were existing. And it is something that we feel that we as a family have failed to manage our problems. Because if you underwent the same training, had the similar problems, similar challenges, and in the 21st century, we were still seeing your siblings who have gone through the heart of medicine, undergoing the same problems, and you are not solving. Who is sleeping? Who is not giving this pre-internship a priority? who is this person who is not understanding that medical internship is a backbone of service.
How much have you done
here
to drive that kind of message to them? Besides, because you're only writing letters, meeting who, let's go to parliament. How have you how much have you tried to drive this kind of suggestion to the leaders in your family?
We have made a few attempts as the new cohort. I may not talk on behalf of the previous cohorts of interns. We have written, even yesterday, there was still a letter where we have written to the minister seeking for her to schedule a meeting with us. Probably we need to listen to her as our mother, and we are waiting for that response.
Okay.
Maybe that's what I would tell you, that we are not taking Minister of Health as our enemy. That is our family. And we have taken back even a step to write to the minister ourselves to see if we can actually have a discussion on a round table with her to listen to our part of the story, and also we listen to her part, and she guides us on how this can be amicably managed so that the same problem doesn't repeat in the coming
because forward. How do you feel when you are misinterpreted to have political motivations, misinterpreted to be having like other people in different professions who may have other agendas? When you get to the streets, when you try to walk to parliament and you end up
being
running around with police, things like that. How do you feel as medical practitioners?
Very uncomfortable. We feel very uncomfortable. Moving with the clinical court in the streets, being beaten, being sprayed with the tear gas. It's really very, very, very dirty situation to be in. But
I'm looking at the misinterpretation of your action.
Yes, the misinterpretation of our action is there because you are not part of the story.
And
but
because it happens almost every year, the rest of us tend to end up taking it for granted. Exactly. Of course, interns will demonstrate. Definitely, interns will walk to parliament every year.
As I have said again, we do not enjoy being in the streets, running up and down in parliament, making noise. Why are these stories continuing? Because somebody is not giving attention to them. The priority has been neglected. If we have not demanded anything new, Mr. Michael, we have not asked for any money to be added on what the president gave, the directive of the president. We have not. We are asking to be deployed. Who is that good patriotic citizen of this country who will cry to be deployed to go and serve the poor communities of Karamoja? We are here just calling for deployment. And the position of ministry is that they don't have money. Should we just now just go back and wait? That's why we are running to parliament. Maybe parliament will listen to our cry and give the supplementary so that this program will go. And we hope that it stops here. The planning will be initiated early, timely, so that other courts don't need to struggle, don't need to come and complain again.
Okay.
Yes.
So, putting you in the position of the minister, you go and everybody, because that, like I told you yesterday, I was with the spokesperson of, when I got to confirm that I would talk to you.
Yes.
We talked to Mr. Ainebiona, and he said, because of the budgetary processes, there are still consultations being made. Now, in that situation, what would you do if you were the minister?
If I was the minister, I would communicate to the pre-interns and tell them, this is our information. All what we are hearing are just rumors. We don't have information there as a body of pre-interns that is waiting to be deployed. We don't have that information. We are hearing there is consultation, just as I've got from you in form of a rumor. We need timelines to be set so that I go and start cultivating in Karamoja. I don't continue staying in Kampala here. Tell us, we are giving you, we are expecting these things to be solved by this period of time, and this will be your deployment sites. Let us have them known as early as now, and when our starting time of duty, we should have it, so that we know that in May we are going for, I will be going to Fort Portal, for example. That's when my program is going to start, and that's my site. This is the communication. We just want the ministry to deploy us. Deployment does not mean that I go now to a site, release our list of where we are supposed to be, communicate to us when the internship program will start, because there is a complaint. They are discussing to see how the funds will be got. That time limit should be there. I tell you the truth that you will not see anyone in the streets. We shall not complain.
How are you affected by delayed deployment?
Oh, as I want to answer that as myself, not the rest of.
Although I have you here on behalf of all the rest.
I finished in May last year.
Yes.
I have been home, grounded. I tried to plant some few crops, the first rain of March, and it has been a very hard situation to go remove this clinical coat and tell the community, my village mates, that I'm waiting for a certain program that I am not sure when they will call us to start it. It is very hard as a medical officer to fit in a community where you have been graded one of the elites. You seem to be now a school dropout, being in the village for about or more than a year. It has been a very breaking situation. So
are you saying you have waited for a year to be deployed?
Yes, me personally, and some of the medical doctors I finished with, even some pharmacists. There are people even who have stayed for more than a year now, who finished as early as April last year, or last year in March. Yes.
The latest I know is that there is no money currently. That's what I know.
Yes.
But previously, for all that time, what has been being told to you?
It has been that we are going to deploy you. The whole thing has been about deployment. We shall deploy you. You wait. We are going to send a list. We are going to share the list. We are going to share the list. The issue of money just came last week.
What do you think could be the problem yourself? Do you take time to find out what the real issues are? If you do, what do you think could have delayed the whole process?
I think the problem is in terms of numbers. Ministry of Health says the numbers of interns has increased over the last six years. There is always an exponential increase in the number of medical interns they register. And increase in number correlates with the amount of money that you have to spend in their deployment. And this is affecting them. But what does that statement really mean? It means still there is a problem with my ministry, because you should own that information to do with enrollment of medical students in universities. You should have that data. How many are in 5th year? How many are you expecting to join internship? So that the planning process on their allowances is projected at least. You relating us to the last 4 cohorts, which were maybe 800 medical interns, and now we are talking of 1,800 or 1,700, and it's looked at as our problem, is not fair, because that should have been a role of ministry that is handling the funding, the deployments of these interns. They should have been in touch with training institutes to pick this data for their planning process.
Okay, we are moving towards the end.
Yes.
At the beginning you told me not all of you were on the streets.
Yes.
So who were on the streets and who were on the street? Who were on the streets and who were those that did not come to the streets, and what split the group?
Oh, the group is not split.
Yes.
When I said not all pre-interns were on the streets, I meant not all the 1,700 plus.
Okay, there was a representation of the group.
Yes, but all the 4-5 cadres of medical interns, that is medical doctors, nurses, midwives, pharmacists, and dental surgeons were represented.
Okay.
Yes, and therefore I would still say that all of us were there, because all the representatives of the medical interns participated in the work.
Participated in the work.
Yes.
Do you follow the procedures that are considered legally?
Yes.
When organizing these walks and
yes.
And why walks, by the way? Can't you drive to Parliament? Can't you board a bus? Or there you will miss the cameras.
No, it's not that we really need the cameras. First of all, the procedure. The procedure was followed, but we were not granted opportunity to make that peaceful march. We had written a letter to police informing them that we intend to
walk to
have
Parliament.
a peaceful march to Parliament and to Ministry of Health, specifically to deliver our information.
Do you see how you kill the point? Because if you boarded a bus and drove to Parliament, nobody will run after you. The speaker would have, by now, received your information, and probably it will be on plenary for discussions.
Yes, I don't think we missed the point as such.
Did she get the information?
Yes. Actually, we delivered our petition to not really the Speaker of Parliament, but it was received by Honorable Silwan Solomon, the Member of Parliament, Bukoli Central constituency. Is the one who received our petition, because the Speaker was committed somewhere. So he was told to receive that information. And we are still in touch with him to see that our petition is presented.
So what are your prayers as a group?
Our prayers as a group are few. One, that the Parliament passes a supplementary budget to sort out issues of our allowances. The second one is the National Internship Committee and the Ministry of Health to deploy us. And the third one is that in these allowances, the discrepancies in the allowances of nurses, midwives, and pharmacists also be sorted out.
Who has to sort that?
Ministry of Health. Those are our prayers.
Main issues
that
you want attention to be paid.
Yeah.
What are the chances that you will achieve this? If the ministry has declared that there is no money, especially when it comes to deployment, what are the chances that you will see a reverse of what they had planned, basing on the situation of not having money that they are going through as government?
The chances are subjective. In my own perspective, the chances are there. The deficit of our existence at the point of service delivery is already felt everywhere in the country, especially in sites which depend on medical interns to cover up the existing human resource constraints. So because of that, we only don't feel irrelevant at this point. We feel the gap, as well as our call for timely deployment is going to produce some fruits at the end of this cry that medical interns have made.
What is going to happen if they insist that we don't have money? Give us one more year.
I think still I don't want to say it in the perspective of the rest of interns, but personally, if it's going to take another 1 year, I'm not going to wait.
What will you do? Will you drop the internship program?
Yes.
Won't it affect your professional journey?
It will. It has become a risky business. I risked to go in a business that has failed. I cannot wait for another second year. I can't be in an expectation up to the 9th year thinking that it's the way to go. So I might take, as an individual, other chances to try somewhere in some other country to do internship.
The patriot you said you are?
Yes.
What would be your last message to your colleagues, the interns?
My message to colleagues, the interns, is that please, I would call upon you all to be calm. Let's engage Ministry of Health again in a peaceful manner so that they can communicate to us on which protocol to follow.
Then the ministry?
The ministry, with all due respect to my family, I request that you treat us with good hands, deploy medical interns, and have a very good plan that this problem of allowances, of strikes stops in this cohort of interns, by making sure that the planning is made timely in the next group of interns that is coming.
We thank you so much. His name is Dr. Logiel Mark. He is a medical intern, and at least we now have a picture of what normally draws them into what many of us would not like to see, complaining and moving and going to parliament and things like that. He has shared what the picture is like, and at least we now know. So we call upon the ministry and them to find a meeting ground on how these issues can be handled. My name is Michael Jordan Lukomwa with Davis Kamukam and the whole team. Wish you the best of the evening. Bye-bye, and thank you for watching.